90% of the time, you're gonna go to the doctor after you've been injured, and the doctor is just gonna tell you to rest. There's a lot of videos out there on how to prevent injuries. In calisthenics, in bodyweight training, weightlifting, running, any kind of sports. But surprisingly, there's not a lot of videos out there on how to actually deal with the injuries after they happen. And I'm not talking about how to physically manage them, because 90% of the time, you're gonna go to the doctor after you've been injured, and the doctor is just gonna tell you to rest and stop all activity, all physical activity that has caused the injury in the first place. And depending on your injury, that can be 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, even longer than that. Instead, I'm talking about mindset. Because when we're stripped from what is for us that one discipline or that one activity that we really love, then we very quickly fall into a negative state of mind. We get depressed, we gain weight, we lose all our progress, we lose muscle, we lose our momentum, and there's not enough talk about how to deal with all these things when they all hit you at once. So I want to share with you today 3 lessons that I learned from a recent injury, a wrist injury that I had, which took almost 3 months to fully heal. And what I learned going through all of the stages of denial, frustration, the anger, the loss of progress, the lack of motivation, and how to really overcome all of those. So I hurt my wrist training the one-arm handstand in calisthenics. And when it first happened, I just continued training anyway. I ignored the pain, I continued training, and the next day I went to the gym and trained again. And so I did that for the next 1 to 2 weeks, until I realized the pain was so much and it was not getting any better. So I decided to go to the doctor and get an MRI, and found out multiple tears in my ligaments, my tendons, all kinds of things were wrong with my wrist. The doctor obviously told me not to train for the next 2 to 3 months while wearing a wrist support. Now, this meant no upper body training for the next foreseeable future, 2 to 3 months, which for me was a huge blow. And if you're passionate about your practice, you're passionate about your discipline, whatever it is that you do, then you'll understand this feeling. When it happens, it really brings you down. I got angry. I was in a bad mood 90% of the time because I couldn't train and I had lost all of my progress. So here's lesson number 1, is to completely stop. When the injury first happens, when you feel that something's wrong, when you feel that discomfort, that is not just soreness, when you feel that something's wrong, just stop. Stop doing everything right there. Call it a day, see how you feel the next day. And if you don't feel 100%, and I mean really 100%, no pain, then just go see a doctor. It fucking sucks. I know it fucking sucks. But the 2 weeks that I kept training after I knew something was wrong, straight up in denial and working out through the pain, I think that alone added at least 1 or 2 months to my recovery time. 100%. Had I not been a complete brainless idiot and stopped right after I felt that something was wrong, the injury wouldn't have aggravated. I would have healed, it would have healed faster, and I would have been back to training maybe a month, maybe 2 months earlier. So there lies the lesson. Be smart about it. Listen to your body. Because normally, if you've been training for a while, if you've been doing the same thing for a while, you come to figure out when something's wrong. So once I saw the doctor, I had an MRI, and I stopped all of my training, then the frustration and the depression came. And if you don't understand that, then maybe you're not as passionate about your practice as you thought you were. And me being me, of course, it took another 2 weeks for me to realize, well, if I can't train, I have to do something. I have to do something productive. I have to channel all this frustration and this anger into something productive, to make me feel better. And in my case, that was mobility and flexibility. I decided to go full on back into my mobility and my flexibility training, which I've been neglecting. Guess what? I got my front splits back for the first time in a long time. And I improved my lower body flexibility, my upper body flexibility, which felt great. I also worked on my cardio, which I hadn't done in years. I started running, I started doing HIIT workouts, and started feeling much better. I started walking more, and that felt awesome. And another thing I focused on while I was injured was my diet. Finally, I ironed out and optimized my diet. Up to that point, I had been bulking. I gained quite a bit of weight, not only fat, but also muscle, but too fast, which may have led to my injury in the first place, because our tendons, our ligaments, they don't adapt as fast as our muscles. And so when I gain X amount of weight too fast, my ligaments, my wrists in that case, they don't adapt as fast. So maybe I got injured because of the extra weight that I got so fast. So I changed that. I became disciplined about my diet again. And losing the extra weight, the extra fat, and leaning up felt awesome. And that was my own example. But your weakness may not be just physical. It may be mental and emotional. You may be weak currently mentally and emotionally. That means your injury may be a great opportunity for you to work on your mental toughness and your resilience, because these things will really help you deal with that which you cannot control, right? The injury happened. You can't control that. It already happened. So the only thing that you can control is how you deal with it, your response to it, and how you respond to it makes all the difference in your recovery and coming back stronger after you've healed. So connected to lesson number 1 is lesson number 3, and that is redefining your mindset. Man, perspective is so powerful. It transforms and affects the way that you feel about the challenges in front of you. And how you choose to respond to it will determine your long-term success in the game that you're playing, whatever it is, calisthenics, running, weightlifting, gym, whatever it is. So I think one of the things that I did and that I would urge you to do in those situations is, instead of asking why me, why did I get injured, why did it happen now, is asking, what can I learn from it? The injury happened, all right, great. What can I learn from it? And this goes back to lesson number 2. By asking yourself this question, it's going to help you develop that mental toughness, that resilience to deal with the injury. And when I started asking myself that question, what can I learn from this? I was so surprised, because I got an answer so fast. When you start asking yourself the right questions, you get answers so fast. And once I got the answers, I just immediately and actively started to work on them, because that's all I can control. And taking control and taking an active stance rather than a reactive stance about your injury goes a long way, I believe. It worked for me. It made me feel that I had the control back. So to summarize it, here are the 3 lessons I learned. Lesson number 1 is recognize the early signs of an injury and stop immediately. Just by doing that alone, you may be recovering 1 month, maybe 2 months faster, just by not making the injury worse. Lesson number 2 is injuries, they are a great opportunity for you to work on your weaknesses, physical or mental. You just have to ask yourself, is it a good opportunity for me to start working on my mobility? Have I been neglecting my cardio lately? Can I improve my diet? Did I gain weight? Did I lose weight? Useful questions to ask. Lesson number 3 is control what you can control. And in this case, the only thing I think pretty much that you can control is your mindset in relation to your injury. Change your mindset, adopt a growth mindset. How do you do that? Well, by asking yourself that question, what can I learn from this? What can I do better? Always choosing a growth mindset. You do these 3 things and I guarantee you there's no other way around it. I guarantee you'll get through the injury and you'll come back stronger. So if you've experienced any kind of injuries in the past, comment below. I'll be reading it, and good luck on your injury.